ocean has been tossed out upon a stormy sea. Move into the spirit, let the song sing through you. Joy is there in your soul. Get on up and stand, stand, and say, God is enough for me. Oh, God is enough. God is enough. God is enough for me.
Yeah.
God is enough for me.
One more time, God is enough.
God is enough.
Yeah.
God is enough for me. God is enough for me. God is enough.
Is enough.
God is enough for me.
For me.
Yeah. Angie Dutton.
Angie Dutton. She's going to India for 3 months. Woo! And now please welcome Suzanne Giesemann.
What a lead-in. That's my kind of church music, huh? Good morning, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm joined by my husband, Ty. Raise your hand, Ty. Yay. We're on a 6-month journey around the country sharing what I call the messages of hope, the messages that I have heard from those in the spirit world and that I just love sharing with all of you to let everybody know that there is a greater reality. You heard a little bit about my background, so you can understand that it's a bit of a switch to be doing the kind of work I'm doing now as an evidence-based medium. I think a lot of people I used to work for don't even know what that means, but it was an incredible honor to serve at the level of military that I did. I mean, I got to fly on Air Force One with the president. Let me tell you, that was as cool as you would think it would be. Flew around the world and meeting kings and queens, but nothing can match for me the honor now of sitting one-on-one with people who have lost loved ones and bringing through evidence from them, things that I couldn't possibly know, to let them know their loved ones are still here. I hear from those on the other side every day, and they send me messages, and one of them fits right in with what religious science teaches. That's why I love coming to churches like this, centers like this, where you know that everything that exists and all of you are manifestations of the one source. So that's why it made sense to me when I heard in meditation one morning and share with you now, anything less than honoring your magnificence does disservice to magnificence. You are magnificent, for you are a part of magnificence itself. Indeed. Well, the problem is, most people don't understand that. Why? Because they look around and they see what they perceive as less than magnificent. Or, heaven forbid, they look in the mirror and don't see the magnificence looking back at them. I see it all the time now because I've learned to see beyond the exterior and see with the soul. I know beyond any doubt that every one of you, all of us, is a soul here and now. You don't become a spirit just because you pass to the other side. I want to share with you a story of somebody who was considered less than perfect. And if some of you were at the morning service, I'm going to change it up. I was getting a little guidance sitting there in the chair to not tell the same story I told this morning, because I understand there's somebody here that drove here a distance to hear this message this morning, and that person lost a son. And I want to assure him that his son is very much with him by sharing a story of another son that came through to me in a reading. The woman called my assistant and asked for an emergency reading, and she told her, well, Ty and Suzanne are preparing for a road trip. This was this time last year. She can't do a reading right now. So the woman hung up. And then my assistant called me and she said, Suzanne, she called back and she's crying. She knows I'm a softie. I said, tell her to come over. So our big coach is blocking the driveway. Ty's walking back and forth carrying boxes out. We were leaving for 5 months. I sat her down in my study and I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a good connection because I'm a little distracted right now, but we'll try. So I asked her son to be present. She had told me that she'd lost a son, but I didn't know anything about him. or how he had passed. And I felt this shift in energy, so I knew he was present, and I said, "Tell me all about you." The very first thing was I saw my symbol for somebody that took their own life, and I thought, oh, no wonder she's hurting so badly. So I said, "How did you do it?" I asked these things mentally. I said, "Your son killed himself by jumping off a bridge." She said, "Yes, he did." And I knew I had a good connection, because how could I have known that? And I said, "Well, we're in Florida, but he's telling me New York." She said, "Yes, do you want me to tell you what bridge?" And I said, "No, he's telling me the Verrazano Bridge." She said, "That's it." And I'm coming out of my seat, because that's what I call a wow, to hear that and let her know her son is right here. And he started showing me medications, bottles of medicine, and he pointed at his head, and I got the feeling, I said, "Your son's telling me he was bipolar." Less than perfect, right? Not so. That soul that was talking with me was perfectly fine and wanted to let his mother know that he was fine. And the reason he jumped up that bridge, he showed me, was he was off his medication. He hadn't been taking it. He was sorry. It wasn't anything he thought about. And they gave me a last name. I passed it along. She said, "That's the name of the doctor that prescribed the medication." Wow, that's evidence. He showed me that he played the guitar. She said, "Yeah, in a band." And I said, "With somebody named James?" Yes, James was his best friend. And on it went like that. And I could feel Mom's energy coming up. And I said, "Well, he's showing me a tattoo. And there's something about a song. And Mom rolled up her sleeve, and she said, "James and I got a tattoo with the lyrics to his favorite song right here." Wow, well, I realized there was one bit of evidence I always like to hear from those in spirit, because it really helps the loved ones know he's right here. And that's, "What kind of work did you do?" So mentally, Mom didn't hear this. I said, "What'd you do?" And I saw a hand sweep out, and it went, "What your husband is doing right now." And I looked out the window. My client couldn't see, and Ty was crouched down at the back of our trailer, at the trailer hitch, the back of our bus, and he's stripping wires. I looked at my client and I said, "Your son was an electrician." And she said, "Yes, he was." Do you see what that means? You might have thought I was reading her mind to this point, right? She didn't know I asked her son what he did. She couldn't see what my husband was doing. What does that tell you? He was right there. He still lives. His perfect soul came through to tell Mom, "I'm here, I'm okay," and you can bet he told her, "I love you. I'm still with you." That's what all of our loved ones want us to know. We may be less than perfect when we walk around here and have mental problems or take drugs or do things that others would consider less than magnificent, but inside, all of us are magnificent. I had a young man with schizophrenia come through from the other side to say, "I was in both worlds at once." His nickname was Wolf. What a message he had for all of us. It filled a whole book, one of my books that I wrote about Wolf. But he's the one that convinced us that we all walk in both worlds at once. This physical world and the spirit world, our true home, from which we came and to which we will return. And that's why, with that confidence, I was able to respond the way I did when a woman emailed me, somebody I didn't know, but I was going to be speaking at a church where she was one of the prayer chaplains in the Midwest a few months later. She emailed me and she said, "Suzanne, we have a friend who's been in a coma for 3 weeks. And we got to thinking, do you think you could talk to her soul and find out what her wishes are?" Oh, I stepped back from my computer and thought, I'm not touching that one, because no medium is 100% accurate. I could tell what they wanted me to find out. Do you want us to pull the plug or not? Do I want that responsibility? What if I'm wrong? And just that doubt alone might interrupt the connection. But then I got to thinking about people like that young man who took his own life, and Wolf, who walked in both worlds at once. What is it that convinces me beyond a doubt that they're still with us? The evidence, that communication, feeling their presence. So I decided to test this. And I went into the study where I give readings and where I meditate every day. And I thought, I'll communicate with that woman. And if she can give me evidence that it's really her, I'll ask her what she wants me to do. And if her friend can validate at least 75% of what she told me, then I'll know it was her. Because any of you could make up something about somebody else and get about 20% right. But you've got to really prove to me that you're here. So I sat in my study, I expanded my consciousness, and then I realized, how do I connect with her? Well, we're all souls. So I said, I would like to connect with the woman in a coma, the friend of Mary who emailed me. Let me feel you. And I felt the shift that I feel whenever I give a reading, only this is someone who's not dead yet. And I said, give me evidence that this is you. I'll write it down. First thing I heard was, my coma is from a clot, not trauma. And then I felt her. I felt her personality as if it was me because she was so well blended with my consciousness. And I wrote down that she felt very loving, a warm, open heart, the kind of woman that would volunteer anywhere. She also felt highly educated to me. And then she started giving me some real good evidence because I know that her friend could validate this. She said, there's red hair near me in the hospital. My friends stand around my bed in a circle every day singing to me. Talk about the braids, she said. And then she showed me something that was totally off the wall, so I knew it was coming from her. Maybe some of you remember these. She showed me a pair of toe socks. Remember those? These were in full color with stripes, the toe socks. I'm writing this down. And then she said one other thing I never expected to hear. She said, California, here I come, right back where I started from. So I wrote down California, here I come, and she actually said, write down the second part, right back where I started from. And then I asked her, all right, I'm going to get this validated. If it's you, what are your wishes? And she said, tell them to pull the plug. If it's my time, I'll go. If it's not, I'll stay. And I had one of those, well, yeah, moments. Because it's the soul that decides when its time is up. So I typed up everything but her wishes and emailed it to that woman. The answer I got back was so validating. She said, we are amazed. Yes, she was well educated. She had a PhD in counseling, a heart that was so open everybody loved her. She volunteered at her church. Her coma was the result of a clot, not trauma. She's an African-American woman, but never braided her hair. But that week, a nurse decided maybe it would make her feel pretty, braided her hair. The red hair near her in the hospital, her mom had brought in a picture of her from a party that she loved, wearing a red wig and taped it right over her hospital bed. Yes, indeed, the other prayer chaplains were standing around her hospital bed every day since she'd been in there in a circle praying over her. Now here's the part that I just love more than anything. One of those prayer chaplains was really skeptical of this work I do. He said, don't ask a medium what to do. The toe socks, the woman in the coma gave that skeptic a pair of toe socks for Christmas. It's kind of like, I'll show him. How are you going to explain that? But here's the best part of all. I got an email separately, offline, from the senior minister at that church. He said, Suzanne, the group shared with me all the evidence that came through when you talked to our friend. What no one knows here in this Midwest church is that I came from another church in California, and they recently offered my job back to me. I don't know what to do. So for 3 weeks, I've been praying, and I've been praying for two things. I've been praying for my friend in the coma to get better, and I've been kind of playfully saying to her, maybe you can ask the big guy upstairs whether I should take that job or not. And what happens when that woman in a coma has a mouthpiece? She says, California, here I come, right back where I started from. There is no other way to explain that, none. then that all of us are perfect souls right now. Whether I read your energy right here, your soul energy, whether I talk to loved ones who have passed to the other side, or someone in a coma, someone with dementia, the soul is perfect and we can all communicate with that soul. Why? Because we are that same energy. All of us have that magnificence inside of us. Now, why don't we see that? It's because you have not been to Walmart to get a pair of these. These are my soul vision glasses, and it's kind of appropriate that they are shaped like hearts, because it's the heart that is the key to seeing with the soul. You know, we see things with our head, and we think like humans. That's our ego side of us that only interprets what we sense with our physical senses. But to really get to the soul, you go right here to the heart. I mentioned earlier that every morning I sit in meditation. I hear from my guides, and they give me beautiful, beautiful evidence of our interconnectedness. And I want to read to you one of their messages that I wrote down with my eyes closed as they dictated it to me. It relates directly to what I've been talking about this morning. Feel these words. Do not devalue the worth of yourself or any other, for in so doing, you are belittling God. We remind you that all is of the Creator. What you see as the human part is merely a creative, individualized aspect of the Creator, expressing itself with the free will with which it is endowed. Such beauty, such love does give you this human experience. The humanness may mask the beauty and love, but only, my friend, in your perception. See past the humanness to the spirit. See God, the love behind the thoughts and actions, no matter how far they may seem to you from your limited view of God. Look upon another and rejoice, saying, "Oh God, there you are." If you truly knew what you were seeing, you would either drop to your knees or run up and embrace the other. Look upon all others anew today and rejoice. Honor thy neighbor and honor the self. It is all God. I know this is truth. That's why I love sitting individually with people and immediately being in the most intimate part of their lives and in their loved ones' lives and bringing them together and showing that we are all connected. I share the stories. I could share them for hours. If you join me this afternoon, I will knock your socks off with the evidence from the other side and show you how all of us can make that connection for higher guidance. It's available to all of us because we are the source of the guidance we seek. My goal today in speaking with you is to get you to feel that within yourself, to know you are magnificent, and to know the truth that you really don't need a pair of these. All you really have to do is do like you were doing when you were singing. Open your heart, look around you, and say, "Oh God, there you are." Thank you.